FactsVerse presents. This Michigan farmer was digging in a field when he unearthed something staggering. You know what we really dig? You clicking that like button. And also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Thousands of years ago, mammoths roamed the earth. About 10,000 years ago, most of them died out. However, a small portion of the large beasts were still alive about 3,600 years ago. These mammoths were the lucky ones that were able to live as long as they did. Today, it's almost impossible to find any evidence that they ever existed at all. It would certainly be strange to find one in Michigan, and that's why the world was shocked by this find. This Michigan farmer was digging in a field and he unearthed something staggering. What the farmer found was not your typical woolly mammoth of the time. It was a cross between a regular mammoth and a Columbian mammoth. This particular type of mammoth was called the Jeffersonian mammoth. It was named after the founding father, Thomas Jefferson. According to experts, the mammoth had to have died between 11,000 and 15,000 years ago, and judging by the remains, the mammoth was about 40 years old when it was butchered by humans and brought to the dinner table. Professor Fisher from the University of Michigan believes that the humans who killed the animal for a meal deposited its carcass into a pond. He'd seen that before as an ancient method of storing meat and other valuable finds. And that was a huge find for the professor since mammoth discoveries don't happen all that often in Michigan or anywhere else in the world for that matter. So far, in recorded history, the remains of only 10 mammoths have ever been found. In the United States, it's more common to find the remains of a mammoth's distant relative, the mastodon. There have been over 300 discoveries of that extinct animal in Michigan alone. Across the U.S., there have been plenty more. Digging up the remains was not as easy as Professor Fisher and his team thought it would be. First, they had to keep the farmer's schedule in mind if they were going to have an all-access pass on his land to dig up the bones, and that job was a big one. Therefore, the professor had to bring dozens of his students and 2 local excavators to help with the dig. Since they had to dig up the bones quickly and not disturb the farmer, they dug up the bones in a single day. They started at dawn and finished at dusk. Fisher and his team were really excited about the remains that they had unearthed. Of all the prehistoric relics found in the state, this mammoth skeleton was the most complete. They found the skull, a pair of tusks, the teeth, a pelvis, shoulder blades, ribs, and several vertebrae. Because the bones were dug up by highly trained paleontologists, the bones were much more useful for a scientific study than they would have been had the farmer tried to uncover and dig out the bones himself. Many theories are surrounding how the mammoth's remains were stored in the pond. Besides the bones were 3 large boulders. Many experts believe that they were used to weigh the animal down. There was also a stone flake beside the bones, which is believed to have been used to butcher the animal. As of now, these are just theories. To get some real answers, long-term studies would be required. Technically, the farmer has the right to claim ownership of the bones. It's up to him what happens to them. Professor Fisher has stressed how important this find was. He's hoping that the farmer will allow him and his team to do a thorough examination of the bones. The findings could tell us quite a bit. By studying the mammoth, we could learn more about the climate system in the mammoth's time and how it worked. It could even tell Fisher and his team what happened to creatures over time because of climate change. That is something that's very important to us today. Fortunately, the farmer allowed the University of Michigan to take the remains and do with them as they please. After the research is complete, the bones will be put together for public display. According to the farmer, the find isn't just his. The mammoth bones belong to everybody, which is why he's happy giving them up to be studied. He says he hopes that the mammoth will be the last prehistoric find on his property, though. He says he'd rather focus more on farming and less on paleontology. No bones about it. Subscribe for more.